Go ahead, Councillor. Go ahead, Councillor.
I move for the approval of the minutes for the minutes of October the 25th regular council meeting, October the 25th in-camera meeting minutes, October the 31st special council meeting minutes, and October the 31st special in-camera meeting.
We have a mover. We have a seconder. Second by Councillor Durkee. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Item number 5 is the warden's remarks. I prepare to go to. This evening I'm going to do something a little different. Pertaining to your warden's report. We've been here as councillors now just over a year. You've all have had your toes wet, I guess, in the sense that you sit on a lot of different committees. You go to a lot of different meetings. Some of those meetings are within the municipality, but also a lot of those meetings can be outside of the municipality. They can be in Halifax, they can be in Bridgewater, and so on. As I was to one this afternoon, I know Councillor Durkee has been away to, excuse me, a couple in the Valley, and so on, which are above and beyond your commitment as a councillor. These are all things that pertain to the municipality and are very important to the municipality. So what I wanted to do here this evening is I wanted to let the general public, as I go through here this evening, to know what my fellow councillors and myself, along with staff, what we do. Here we go. Well, here we are, just over a month away from Christmas. November is a month of getting ready in Yarmouth County as our fishing industry gets ready to start the beginning of the lobster fishery. We wish them all well and a safe season in that industry, because we all are well aware of the weather change and so on here in Southwest Nova. Can be good one minute and the next can be pretty rough. So we wish the fishing industry fleet a safe and bountiful season. But back to the Municipal Council. We have all been busy with our committee meetings. Here we go. Waste Park on November 1st. We heard that our asbestos site has to be enlarged. Also, that our C&D cell is coming to an end and we need to soon look at constructing another cell. Lauren, you sit on that committee and so on, the Solid Waste Park. You well realize, and it will be coming back before council, that a cell is not in the dollar range, but it's in the $1 million+ range. So that's commitments and so on. It's going to have to be looked at in the very near future. That was one of the meetings that Lauren and I attended on November 1st. But also at 7 o'clock that evening, Lauren had a community meeting in Pembroke, which I wanted to commend him on. It was very well run. You had both Department of Environment and TIR there, and they had a lot of input from your residents, and I thought it was well run, and I know you're moving forward on that project. November 2nd, attended the Yarmouth Chamber of Commerce Awards Night. Councillor Patty Durkee was also there. What a night it was, 300+ people. November 3rd, Remembrance Service at Maple Grove. Daniel, you were there and you took up the opportunity to place the wreath in remembrance on behalf of the municipality. I want to thank you. But you were there in doing that. November 5th, South Ohio Remembrance Day service. Councillor LeBlanc, you laid the wreath there in South Ohio. I was there. I thought it was well run and well attended by the public here of South Ohio, and the Memorial Club was there. I thought that was well organized and so on, but you were there on behalf of the municipality. Again, thank you. November 6th, I'm going to get just right. The warden and the deputy warden and mayors and the deputy mayor, along with the CAOs, met to discuss an issue in Yarmouth County. That was on the 6th. We're not even into a week into November already, eh? Also, after that meeting, the Municipality of District of Yarmouth and the Municipality of District of Argyll met for a District Planning Commission. Lauren, again, you were at that meeting, but John and I were at the meeting previous that with the other issue. November 7th, I had a meeting in Halifax with the Minister of Environment and Municipal Affairs for a committee I sit on for the residents of Nova Scotia. That had to deal with solid waste across the province. November 8th, 9th, and 10th, I, along with Councillor Cushion, Councillor Durkee, and Councillor LeBlanc, and Councillor Trevor Cunningham, attended the UNSM Fall Conference. I believe each and every one of you were at a lot of the sessions. I seen you there and so on, and a lot of the sessions, I think hopefully one of you may make a comment to what you felt, you know, what you got from the Fall Conference. It was a good conference. It really was. Also on, I know you traveled, or you folks traveled home and so on, and thank you to Councillor Cushing again for laying the wreath at the Mariner Centre on Remembrance Day on behalf of the municipality. So, November 14th, we as a council met with our MP Colin Fraser at our facility here in Hebron. I believe the questions and the answers we received from our MP were both good from us and very well received from him. There was a couple of questions, and I will, it's on our agenda here pertaining to Doppler radar, and maybe Councillor Cushion can discuss a few of the items that we discussed at that meeting with the MP. November 17th, the Athletic Awards Night at Parambagh in Tusket. Councillor Cushion, you were there also that evening. It was a nice turnout, a lot of athletes, a lot of honors to a lot of our sports-minded people and so on. And I commend the parents of a lot of these young athletes and so on. And from the recognition that a couple of those young athletes received, I believe we have our own Sidney Crosby coming along, not so much in hockey, but in soccer and volleyball and so on. There's one young fellow, one young gentleman there that, Vincent Surratt, I believe his name was, that is keeping his marks up and doing very well in a lot of sports activities. November 20th, the Bylaw and Policy Committee met here, which is full council at noon. And then again, we met, the Yarmouth Area Industrial Commission met at 5 o'clock on the 20th. That was attended by the Deputy Warden and by Councillor Cushion and myself. When we came out from that meeting, both John and I, our trucks or our vehicles were parked on the other side of the street, and we really didn't have to walk. We were just kind of blown across the street. It was quite windy there Monday night. November 22nd, today, I attended a cannabis meeting in Bridgewater. I was surprised when I got into the meeting. It was a very large crowd. It was probably one of the largest attended meetings on cannabis legalization and so on. They had a lot of good presenters and so on. That went from 10 till 3 this afternoon, at which time I then left. But I know my fellow councillors here this afternoon at 4 o'clock met with the Deputy Minister of TIR at the Grand Hotel, and hopefully maybe one of you or whatever can give us an update maybe a little bit later on that. I'm sorry I couldn't attend it. I couldn't be in two places at once, but I just wanted to let, as I said, the general public know what we do as a council. November 23rd, tomorrow evening at 6:30 is the YASTA Awards Night at Murray Motors. I believe the Deputy Warden you're going to spend a few minutes there because you have another commitment. Councillor Durkee, you are going to be at that, along with myself. Are you going to? Yeah, briefly. And then I believe Councillor LeBlanc, you're having a community meeting at South Ohio later on that evening, and so on. So just November 24th, the town tree lighting is at 6:30. I plan on being there. I don't know if any of the other fellow councillors are going to be there, but you're more than welcome. November 27th is a very important day, and it's a day that I cannot forget because it has two important aspects to it. It's dumping day at the Yarmouth Light at 5 a.m. And I know Councillor Cushion, you're going to give us a kind of more of an update when you later on that. But November 27th is very special for me because it's my wife's birthday. So, and I have it off. I just have to go over to the lighthouse in the morning, and the rest of the day is going to be spent with my wife. November 29th, I have meetings in Halifax. November 30th, I have meetings again also in Halifax for regional chairs. It's a summit. On December 1st, I have meetings in Halifax with regional chairs, and then I have a meeting with the UNICEM executive after that meeting, and I'll be returning home. And that just gives you and the general public an idea of what we do within 1 year of sitting down. And I know that you councillors have put a lot of time and effort into your communities. I know you've put a lot of time and effort into going to many other meetings and functions as you possibly can. So on behalf of myself, and I think I'm going to take this opportunity to say on behalf of the Deputy Warden, thank you very much for your dedication to doing what you have done this past year. That kind of wraps that part of it up. But November was a month of remembrance as I started off. It was to remember our war dead, but also those that are serving every day in overseas, in conflicts and humanitarian help, where there's been floods, earthquakes, and so on. We want to thank our people in service for everything that they do. That also includes our policing departments, our CMP, and so on, who go out every day and do their job in protecting us. To our fishing families, we wish you all well, and to specify and really stress to be safe. And as Christmas is fast approaching, please remember those that are less fortunate, and please give when and what you can when you have that opportunity. That is my report. Thank you. Item number 6, business arising. Doppler radar. Item 6.1 is Doppler radar next steps, but item 6.11 was letters to the MP and MLA, response from MP Fraser, Colin Fraser, response from the Minister of Environment, and letters that went out to the municipal units, and I'll read them off here. We had response from Clare, Argyle, Town of Annapolis Royal, Municipality of the District of Digby, Municipality of the Digby of Annapolis, Town of Yarmouth, Town of Digby, Town of Shelburne, Town of Kentville, Municipality of Shelburne, and the region of Queens Municipality. As we're all well aware, we've been working very diligently on trying to access a radar in Southwest Nova to make our fishing industry a little more a lot safer and so on. So I guess what I'm going to do, councillors, is I'm going to turn the floor over to you, because we did have the meeting with our MP, Colin Fraser, and we'll go from there. Go ahead, Councillor LeBlanc.
Yes, I would like to ask Daniel, that is a fisherman. Here it says the letter from Colin Fraser. It says that the Doppler radar now is good for 120 kilometers, and the ones that they plan on placing would be in Fredericton, I think. There's one.
There's one now.
And one in Halifax. It says for a range of 240 kilometers. If they're in Fredericton and in Halifax, that's not going to help you, is it?
Well, I've been fishing now for, oh boy, 27 years. And the last 10 years I've been on my own, like with my own business. And right now, Transport Canada is imposing a lot of rules and regulations to try and make things safe. The government wants things safe on the water. They want less chances of loss of life, things like that. And our main thing is our weather. We need to know when we can go, when we can't. And in all honesty, we rely on the United States. We rely on US weather stations, weather buoys. I think if you polled the 1,000 lobster licenses in District 34 alone, 90% of them would probably say that Environment Canada is one of the last sources they go to. There's no downside to this. You know, and it's not just the fishing industry. I mean, preparing for hurricanes, preparing for winter storms, it just wouldn't, there's just no end to what this could do for us. Obviously, I'm really for it. Having one in Halifax, I mean, yeah, it's going to double and it'll probably make it a little bit better. Is it going to change the way we're looking at it? Probably not. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's my feeling on it.
Yeah, it doesn't reach your fishing grounds.
No,
No.
no. Not with 100% accuracy anyway.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Warden. Yes, to back to our meeting with our MP, Colin Fraser, and you know, Councillor LeBlanc brought up about the range of the radar as it is now. It doesn't really affect a lot of the fishing boats in southwest Nova Scotia, and I was surprised that our MP. He was not aware of that. He figured just by the upgrading that was going to happen, that would take care of things. And it's no fault of his, because he's a lawyer by trade, and now he's an MP, and he relies on people like Daniel and our council here to inform him of how important this Doppler radar is. We're not saying that it has to be located in Yarmouth, and we made that perfectly clear to him, but we certainly like to have it in southwest Nova Scotia to benefit all the fishermen and in other businesses and communities that are be affected by weather that Councillor Allen had just mentioned about hurricanes and storms and so on and so forth. One of the questions was asked to the MP at that time was, there's been a lot of an allocated amount of money put aside to upgrade this, and we would like to know if any of it has been done to upgrade anything. That was number one question. And number two question was, you know, what can we do now to try to push this progress along a little bit? And as we see from all these responses from the different other communities, council areas, is an ongoing list here. I'm sure that if we get together with the rest of these units and start lobbying and putting pressure on our MPs in the government and environment, that they should realize how important and how serious we are. You know, I've always been, tried to be, I like to be very fair with people and in government, but I also like to be very firm with them. And I think with the support we have from these letters and whatnot, I think we can be very firm by making this happen. We're not a big metropolitan like Halifax or Fredericton and whatnot, but we are this area of southwest Nova Scotia is a very important part of the economy of Nova Scotia. And I think it's time for us now to step up to the bat, and let's start putting pressure on our MPs to make the Department of Environment and the federal government understand how important this is, and we need to have some type of action. Not in 5 years' time, but let's start the ball rolling now. So, thank you, Mr. Warden.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. As you all know, we met with Colin Fraser on the 14th, and one of the things that was brought up to him is see if he could get us to set up a meeting with the Department of Environment to come down and explain to us what these new radars and stuff are going to do, and see if they're actually going to be sufficient, because in all reality, I know what a Doppler radar is, but I don't know exactly what it does and how it does it. So we had suggested to him that maybe he could set up a meeting. So maybe our next step here, I'm not making this a motion at this time, Mr. Chair, but I think maybe our next step would be maybe to officially send a letter to our MP Colin Fraser in regards to that meeting we had on the 14th and the discussion we had about the Doppler radar, that he said he would set up a meeting. So maybe if we have it in writing and we could get a response from him, that it would happen a little bit quicker rather than we told him there at the meeting and was agreed that we'll do it, but if we have it in paper, at least we have a little bit of a paper trail, because this issue's been going on from back my previous term in council in 2014, that we had asked about Doppler radars. Yeah, now we see that the federal government is putting more money into Environment Canada and some of our sites are going to be upgraded, and then the second wave is going to be happening in, I believe in the letter it said 2023. So maybe we should be pushing this issue a little bit further, and like I said, the first thing maybe we should do is send a letter to Colin Fraser MP requesting a date, a firm date be set, and that was not only a meeting with this municipal council but the joint councils, because that was also brought up at our joint council meeting, if you remember correctly, and not Environment Canada just to come down to talk to us, but talk to the joint council.
Okay, you're not making that a motion this time, no. Okay, I have a couple of comments if there's nothing further off the floor at this time. During that meeting with our MP, when it was brought up, this topic on the Doppler radar and so on, there was a couple of things that our MP was not aware of. Councillor Allen was not available for that meeting and so on, so it was kind of a little disappointing that we didn't have a councillor in there that knew about the fishing industry, but we did bring up, because Councillor Allen and myself have talked at length and so on. I brought up to the MP that a lot of fishermen do not use the Doppler radar system, or don't use the weather service from here, I'll say in Nova Scotia, from the Doppler radar that they say covers us in Halifax. It just does outside of the Bay of Fundy. It goes off of Yarmouth a very short distance. He did not realize that fishermen do not use, they use the US system to know and find out what the weather is going to be in the coming days and so on. It was at one time that the fishing industry or the fishing fleet left early in the morning and was back home that evening. Now, a majority of the boats go out and you're out, what, 4 days, 5 days? It's just according to the weather and to the catch and so on. So they have to know what the weather's going to be for 4 or 5 days down the road. And the system out of Halifax does not give you that. He didn't realize that, and that was a big point that really brought him to mind, like he didn't realize. So if he doesn't, and in our letters that we sent out to like the municipality of Queens, all the way up through Annapolis and so on, Colin doesn't cover that whole turf. There's other MPs. So I think what we're going to have to do is to make sure that Colin gets this information, or we send this information to those other MPs that cover Southwest Nova. The other thing that I've had discussion both with Councillor Cushion, and I've also talked with Ken, the CAO, that when we do, or this meeting is set up, that maybe we should invite a couple of wardens from down in Barrington, Clark's Harbor, that are very heavy into the fishing industry. Also, it's been brought up that maybe we should have a couple of representatives from the different fishing industries, like there's the cold water, I'll call it the cold water lobsters, etc., and so on. There's different that would be able to sit down when the Minister of Environment or Deputy Minister of Environment is here, that they can have that discussion also. Because it's very important, I believe, councillors, to fully understand that in the letter that we received on July 27th from Colin Fraser, on February 28, 2017, the Honourable Catherine McKinnon, Minister of Environment and Climate Change, announced that the Government of Canada had signed an $83 million contract to purchase 20 radars using the most modern technology available. The new radars will have an extended severe weather duration range to cover more of Canada, increasing the Doppler range to 240 kilometers per radar from the current 120, as Councillor LeBlanc had mentioned. These are going to be over, I think, over a 7-year period for them to implement these. Well, if they just announced it in 2017, I think we have to push very hard to be one of those new 20. And so now I realize they're going to upgrade, and I know they're going to upgrade or want to upgrade the one in Halifax. That's fine. I think we have to push that we want, we need, and we will have one within Southwest Nova, from, I'll say, from Clare down to Barrington. I don't care where it goes, but that it will protect our industry. And because of the ocean traffic that's out there, container ships and everything now, I think the better the system, the better it is for everybody, and so on. So, on that note, go ahead, Councillor. Oh, I'm sorry, I shut you off there. Go ahead.
I actually turned myself off. I unfortunately couldn't make the meeting with MP Colin Fraser because I was sailing a vessel from Glace Bay, or actually Lewisburg, to Yarmouth. And it's essentially a 40-hour trip. And when I have to do my weather, I'm not using Environment Canada because it's not accurate. Whether it's because it's the Doppler radar, or as John said, I'm not, how Environment Canada forecasts, I'm not 100% sure, but I base my trip and when I'm sailing and what I'm doing on weather reports out of the United States. But unfortunately, I just wanted to throw that out there. It's just a little piece of irony.
I realize also that on the Council of Argyll, there was the warden, Richard Donaldson, who used to be a fisherman there. He's retired now, but he's the warden for Argyll. But there's Lucien LeBlanc, who fishes very hard and heavy. Calvin D'Entremont, who is a worker on I believe on a fishing boat, and so on. I know that Councillor Junior Murphy, he's heavy into the lobster purchasing and so on, and in the fishing industry and so on. So just in that one area, it's a mainstay for him, and I think this is a very important item, and I have no problem for the municipality trying to champion this. And that is, as you've seen in your Doppler radar, or under new business Doppler radar, next step. It's in our ballpark, councillors, so I'm leaving the floor open. What is your wishes to move forward with this? Go ahead.
Well, I think Councillor Cunningham, John Cunningham, had suggested that we send off a letter and start meeting with the people in the proper positions to force us along, and I think that's definitely what we should be doing.
Okay.
And if we want to champion, yes, by all means, let's do it.
Okay. Well, the floor is open for somebody to make that motion or move forward on it. So, go ahead, Deputy Warden.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a motion that the Municipality District of Yarmouth send a letter to our MP Colin Fraser to move forward and ask him for a date that we meet with Environment Canada officials.
Okay. Been moved by Deputy Warden John Cunningham, seconded by Councillor Daniel Allen. Was there any further discussion on that motion? Question being called. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded, motion carried. Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Chair, since I still have my mic open, I'm going to also make not going to make a second motion, but as soon as we see a letter from that, I would like to move forward with the suggestion that you had, Mr. Chair, about inviting maybe a couple representatives from the Saltwater Coldwater Fisheries Association, and also maybe a mayor, warden from other surrounding municipalities to attend that presentation when it's finally confirmed. But I think this is an important first step because, like I said earlier, I really don't know how a radar works. We do see like pictures on CBC or ATV when they have the radar sweep, and it doesn't make. I'd like to know what current equipment they have. Now, maybe it would be as simple as, I remember talking to Harold Richardson once, and the EMO, he said that there's a lot of surplus equipment out there from older style radars what in the US. Now that may be way far and above what we currently have now. Now, even if it's added on as another radar site down here, at least something's better than nothing.
Well, it's a starting point, John.
Absolutely.
And it's a starting point, and that's what we have to do. But after the meeting, I'll talk with Councillor Allen. Maybe he can give me a couple of names. If not, staff can find some names, and we can start. And I'll say start planting the seed with those other industries, you know, so that they realize that maybe when we do get this meeting lined up, that they'll have, you know, they'll be prepared and so on. So,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay. Okay, so we're on to item number 7, presentations. 7.1, second and possible final reading of water supply upgrade lending program, bylaw W-1087-17. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you. The water supply upgrade lending bylaw, program bylaw W1028-17 was created after the drought of 2016. The province agreed to allow the municipalities to loan money to its constituents to upgrade their wells if they were having a difficult time. So the owner of a qualifying property may apply to the municipality for financing of a water supply upgrade to the property. There are a number of restrictions. There is a maximum of $10,000. And for more information, I think it's important that constituents call the municipality of the District of Yarmouth. So at this point, I'd like to make a motion to approve the second reading of the Water Supply Upgrade Lending Program Bylaw W1028-17.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor.
Just a note, I'm looking at it, and it's bylaw 1087-17. Are my numbers different than yours, Patty?
Mine says 1028-17.
Is it 28? Okay, that's great. No, mine is not reading that way. I'm just making sure.
Yeah.
No, I want you to get her right.
It's different on the agenda than actually is on the actual bylaw.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chair.
Okay. It's been moved by Councillor Durkee, seconded by Deputy Warden John Cunningham. Was there any further discussion on that motion? I don't see anybody in the audience that had any issues or anything, and I don't think we had no written or anything that you know of, Ken. Nothing, there's been anything at all. And you've all read it in length, in depth, and so on. Go ahead, Councillor. I'm sorry. I'll find you there, Trevor.
Yeah, and I guess my additional comment would be that during the last election campaign, I was acclaimed, but did visit all the doors in my district, and this was a major consideration for folks. They really do want better access to water, including the possibility of extending our municipal water system. So this is part of the solution, but not all the solutions. Will work with some for some residents, but we need to continue to look for ways to solve water issues in the municipality district of Yarmouth for residents. So having said that, I'm in support of it because it's something that that our residents are asking for, and I think some can certainly access to improve their access to water, and so for that reason I'm going to vote in favor of the motion.
Go ahead, Councillor Durkee.
Thank you. I just would like to add that this still needs to go to the province for approval, and after that is done, then residents can begin to access the program. I do know that there were those who had difficulties again this summer with their water, and we are basically making it easier for them to be able to make improvements to their system.
Okay. Deputy Warden.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I was sort of on the fence with this new bylaw the municipality district of Yarmouth was working on, and to be very honest, I really wasn't in favor of it at the time. However, there has been a few residents been questioning me, when is this going to be coming forward, and I still have a few concerns. No piece of legislation that any government body ever makes is perfect, and I don't believe that this one here is perfect either. And there's also safeguards in there that when people come looking for this lending program to be enacted, whether they drill a well or not, that they explain to them it's no guarantee that they're going to get water. And I'll give you a quick example. Back in our business there, we had to drill a well this late summer because we didn't have the volume of the water needed for our business. People don't realize that well had to be dug 600 feet deep. Think about that. 600 feet at $27 a foot. That's a lot of money. And that was no guarantee that we were going to get water. So people could be, and I actually asked the well driller. It was a company out of the valley, and he said the average drilling depth in the area where I'm in the Carleton area, is roughly 300 feet. So
That's $9,000. That's
be
$9,000.
warned. I am in support of this this bylaw because it is a way for people to access money and pay it off over a period of time through their taxes. But I would really hate, at the end of the day, that if someone's house goes up for sale because they couldn't pay their taxes, it was because that we lent money to someone that had trouble paying their taxes because of the extra added cost because of this bylaw.
And it could happen.
It could happen.
It could happen.
That is what really concerns me about this. However, I am in favor of passing this motion. And like I said, any legislation that we do can always be tweaked over time. But this is something that that people have asked for up my area, and we're going to move forward.
Was there any further discussion on that motion? Question being called. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Thank you very much. So since this is past the second reading, that's an automatic for the third. Now it would go off to the province, would it, Ken?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pending approval, you'll see
Yeah.
the province for final approval, and then following the advertisement of the approval.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. 7.2, Land and Asset Database, presentation by Erica Ralston from the Wrens. You'd like to come down, please. Just press your button there and I'll, yes. Go ahead, you're on.
Great.
You're live. You're live.
No pressure. Thank you all for allowing me to come and present to you this evening. My name is Erica Ralston. I'm the Communications Lead and Investment Readiness Lead with the Western Regional Enterprise Network. I've got a bunch of business cards here. I'll leave them so that folks can get a hold of me if you need to. What I'm going to do today, what I'm going to present to you about this land asset database is I'm going to walk you first just really briefly through our website. I don't know how many of you have been to our website or seen what we have on there, but that's where you'll find the links to the asset database. And so I'm just going to give you a little bit of background about what we have at the website, what we keep on there. And Mike has warned me that there's a lag time between the mouse here and up there, so cross your fingers for me. So I've got the website up on the screen there, and you can see right across the top bar, there's events, blog, about, and contact. So the events is just it's a calendar is what it is, and we post like NSBI doing trade missions, or ACOA is doing a business information session, or the CBDCs have some training opportunities. We post things like that on there. So activities, events, learning opportunities of interest to the business community. The blog that we have up is, it was a little bit of a slow start getting up to the blog, but we've got it going out about once a week now. And the blog helps give a little bit of, a little bit more tangible idea of what we do over at the Western Wren. So there's some stories in there, some successes that we've had, You know, for people that weren't able to make our summit, there's a blog in there briefing about the summit, about some of our programs. So we're trying to make it a little bit more accessible for folks. The about is just that. It's about us. It's got our board of directors and all of their bios on there, full staff, how many terms the boards are on for, and our board meeting agenda is on there as well. So if that's of interest to you, that's where you can find it. So that's the very top menu bar. The next menu bar down, Invest, Live, Grow. I don't know what to do with that thing that just popped up. I'm not going to touch it is what I'm going to do. So invest, live, grow, get connected, knowledge suite, and our communities. I'm going to leave the invest for the end because that's actually where the database is being held at the moment. So the live page, and again, there is a time lag, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on each page here because I don't want to fall behind. So the live page is just basically high-level community type information about the region. The Western Regional Enterprise Network, of course, includes all, 7 municipal units from Digby all the way over, including Barrington. So all of the information that we house on our general pages is relevant to the entire region. So that's this about the Western region is just some information about, you know, good things about living here in Southwest Nova. Our grow page is where we house our information about 2 of our main program areas. We've got our Business Now program. Now, is this going to work? Am I going to scroll? There we go. I feel like I'm playing with fire with this keyboard. So the Business Now is the Business Retention and Expansion Program, which is run by our Economic Development Officer, Victoria Brooks. And it's actually a professional business visitation program. She goes into the business, she sits down with people, does a fairly in-depth interview, which results, it's in-depth. It's a mile wide, but it's only about an inch thick, right? So it covers a lot of territory and helps to identify opportunities for growth and any red flags that might be there so that she can help direct business people to services and programs that might be in support of, ideally, their growth, but at minimum, their retention. Business Resources is another link on this page, which is basically all of the organizations, programs, services that Victoria would refer businesses to. So they're there for people to access independently as well. And then the last one on this page is the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Project. The Western Wren was chosen to pilot along with Cape Breton, also has a pilot going in support of this Atlantic Immigration Pilot Project, which is all of Atlantic Canada. But what we're trying to do is we've hired Gino Thibault to work with employers who are facing chronic labor shortages, find out, you know, are they getting access to the local labor market, and are there gaps for them in the local labor market? And if there are gaps in the local labor market for them, they can access this pilot project, which is not a temporary foreign workers program. And the big difference with this is about getting new Canadians. This is about getting new Nova Scotians. This is about getting people who come here and stay here. They bring their families here. They go to school here. They shop. They, you know, about getting new permanent residents in the area. So the Atlantic Immigration Project is one that we're working with out of our office. And again, Gino will probably actually be calling around to get up in front of you as well to explain it to you a bit later on. The next link on there is Get Connected. Now, I do believe you have heard from my colleague Brenda Legrandeur. Has she been in and presented in here? Yes, she did. Okay. So this is the Connector program that she presented about. And this is, again, this is about, it's about intentional networking. And it's it's a way to mitigate a little bit of the challenge that we face in rural Canada, in rural Nova Scotia, where, I mean, we all know the way that you get the good jobs, the way that you know that the jobs are out there, you know who's looking for what because you hear about it. Somebody says, oh, hey, I need this thing done. Does your brother-in-law still do that thing that, you know? So now we can have, you know, a new graduate from a trade school or a professional in the area who doesn't have those connections, doesn't know your brother-in-law, doesn't know, and the person who's asking for the work done, they don't know that they're even there. So the Connector program connects the people who are looking for the work, for the professional jobs and you know, it's not necessarily about entry level, but about careers. So that connects up the people with the people who are in the know, right? So it expands everybody's connections, and it's just overall a really well-received program. Brenda was at the University Sainte-Anne today recruiting some of the graduates that are coming out of the next spring's graduation. So yeah, so see if we can't keep some of them here. So then the Knowledge Suite is where we host data. It's maybe not the most stimulating page, but in all honesty, as we all know, investment attraction, getting more investment attraction here requires that we are ready for that investment. So if the opportunity comes up, we need to be in a position to be able to respond with the information that the investors need, and we need to be able to respond quickly. So the Knowledge Suite is where we put some of, not all of our data, we've got more data than you could put up on here, but we summarize some of it up on this page. So one of the things, we've got links to our newsletters where we give our updates and reports. We've got all of our reports. So if you ever want to know where to find our business plan or our 3-year strategy or our annual reports or anything like that, they're on this page, as well as any other business or government reports or academic reports that are relevant to the work that we're doing, the regional economic development work. And then finally, on the Knowledge Suite at the bottom of the page is what we refer to as our labor market dashboard. And this document on the screen is tiny, but it does blow up quite large. And it's quite a high resolution as well. The data on this is all about the labor market in the entire region. So what are the demographics? What's the education levels? What are the employment levels? What are the sectors people are employed in? And it also gives a little bit of analyses of some of those data. So at the bottom, it talks about trends that we're seeing and such. So we're pretty much, just because the way that data is released, we're pretty much always at least a quarter behind on getting this out. So we're in the 3rd quarter now, and we're just about to put our 1st and 2nd quarter ones up, because that's just the nature of data. It comes out after the fact. So, but we do release them quarterly. So that is it for the Knowledge Suite page. Then our communities, and this one will only take a moment. You have, I hope, all seen the mini profile, the packages of the mini profiles. It's a folder with both languages, pages inside with double-sided pages of the opportunities in the District of Yarmouth, the traditional industries, the housing market. There's just some high-level, what we refer to as fast facts. And again, it's another sort of investment readiness, investment attraction type tool. So we put this package together with all 6 originally of our municipal units in there. Our contractor worked with your economic development officer and CAO and made sure that the stories being told in the Yarmouth page reflected what the District of Yarmouth wants to be seen as. So on this page, you can download all of those out as PDFs, and again, they're in English and French. So down the left side, you can see English, French, English, French. That'll link you to a download of a PDF. The other side will link directly to your website, so that people can just go straight to the source.
Can I ask a quick question on that?
Yes.
I really appreciate the fact that you have both English and French. And I know there's the Wrens across Nova Scotia, not a lot of you yet, but
Yeah.
there's us, or the Southwest Wrens,
Yeah.
and I believe Cape Breton that are doing the French. Are the other ones anywhere else doing both? No, just the 2 of us right now.
I think that's a good question. I don't know if they're all doing their work bilingually or not. I don't know that they all have Acadian communities.
Well, no, I don't think they
And
do, but
that may be
I
it.
really appreciate the fact that when you guys came up with that thought to do it, but I thought maybe up in Cape Breton, I thought they were doing.
And they may well be. It's a kind of a basic communication standards in a lot of ways to do your material bilingually in Canada anyways, so, yeah. But it's particularly important for us in Southwest Nova.
Well, yes.
So that's the, our community. So I'm gonna try to get this mouse to go to where I need it to and take you to the invest page. Now, the page for investment has, again, some high-level information about just the basics of the economic drivers in this region. What are our traditional economies? What are our emerging industries? Just some high-level things. We've got a labor market study link on that page that we did when we first started up. We've also got a regional economic profile on that page that was updated in what was created in 2014, updated in 2016, so it'll be updated again next year. But at the top of this page is where you'll find the link to the land asset database. So I'm going to click it and let it get loading, but I'm going to give you a little bit of background about the land asset database. What I'm about to show you is not a tool that was designed with you in mind. It's a tool that's designed with investors in mind. People who don't know our area, who don't know what we have to offer, who don't know what kind of investment opportunities or growth opportunities there could be in this region for them. At this time, if somebody from elsewhere or even within the region or in Nova Scotia just wants to expand, they can go and look on MLS or on Viewpoint and find properties, but it doesn't tell them anything about the community around that property or what kind of services are available. And a lot of site selectors, which is who this tool is targeting, they want to know things like, okay, look, I want a property of this size. It needs to have this kind of power to it. It needs this kind of electricity. It also needs access to a highway, and it also needs to be within 10 kilometers of a fire hall, and it also needs to be near a school, and my workforce is going to need recreation. And so they want to know where they're coming to, right? That's the big picture, and that is what this tool is designed, is to give them something of that big picture. Now, it's a fairly in-depth tool because it is designed for site selectors who want to get a fair amount of data, and they want to get it now, and they want to get it off the internet. Before they start with any phone calling or anything, they will be doing their work online. And if you're not online in the world of site selectors, if you're not online, you're invisible. It's like you don't even exist. So we're trying to get Southwest Nova on the map here. I'm wondering why it's not all loading. There should be a series of black dots all around the bottom there, but they are not loading up. Ugh. Okay, well, I don't know if it's got a hiccup with the connection or what. The map is loaded, but not the properties. So, it's going to be a little bit harder to do this without the properties showing up. Okay, so around Southwest Nova Scotia, you'll have to take my word for it, they are there. We've got a whole bunch of properties that we've entered. Now, whether they're your business park lots that are for sale, or whether they're actual industrial lands or anything like that. Anything zoned industrial or commercial is being put up here, and whether it's for sale or for lease. So when it's loading properly, what you'll see is a series of black circles with numbers inside, and that number is a cluster of properties for sale. And around Yarmouth, there's like 30 or 50 or something like that. And again, it's only industrial and commercial. We're not posting residential properties on here. So the benefit of this tool is that we can also turn on, now can I scroll down? Is it going to let me? There we go. So what I was telling you about, I want a place within 5 kilometers of let's say hotels. I want to know that when my CAOs or my CEOs come to visit my shop here, that there will be a hotel for them to stay in. And it's not loading, and I don't know why. I just did. I clicked on the accommodations there, and you see the way that in the point assets on the left there, the bar at the top is green, which means it's selected. The icon for accommodations has been lit, and it should be showing up all of the accommodations in Southwest Nova, but it's not. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit and see if that will do it, because sometimes that is what it takes, but yeah, you will just have to take my word for it. And I'm sorry, this was supposed to be, it worked every other time. This is the fourth demonstration that I've done for council, and it's the first time it hasn't worked. So, okay, I encourage you guys all to check it out yourselves.
Okay.
And the reason that I'm doing that is not because I think it's going to be necessarily useful to you, but I think that your information could be useful to us, which would then in turn be useful to site selectors and investors. I encourage you to take a look, to turn on all of the point assets and take a look and oh, that business is closed. Well, let us know that that business is closed. That school closed down. Oh, yeah, didn't realize that. There's a new business that's opened up. So all of those point assets, that is anything that's it's a business, it's an attraction, it's a health service, it's an emergency service. Any of those things are considered point assets. So when those are all turned on, this map is just lit right up, but it's not lit up. And I don't know what to do. What are you trying to do? None of the assets are loading on the page. So there's two whole layers of data. I use it in your own stuff. Oh, okay, so yeah, that is something on the internet. Okay, so but you guys trust me, right?
Yeah.
You believe me?
Yeah. Yeah.
So please do take a look at it. The website, are you guys all having this stroke? Something's coming up there? Okay. The website for this is investinwesterns.com. And I believe you have a handout that I provided in your package there or something. There's the full name is on there. So investinwesterns.com. It makes sense to say it out loud, but it's a little bit hard to read. So, yeah. Is it coming up? No dots. That's strange. Yeah, like I said, it's I mean, I was on it earlier today at the office and it was working beautifully. So please do check it out.
Okay.
And let us know if you find any errors. The really important thing about a data set like this is that it is accurate. We want those properties that we say are for sale to actually be for sale. The other thing that we're really looking for is there's a lot of properties in Southwest Nova that are for sale or for lease, maybe, right? Maybe to the right, for the right price or to the right person, and this for sale advertisement is a sign in the window with a phone number written on it. Investors will never see that. So, yes?
So you're telling me that there's commercial property or
Yep.
businesses that are for sale for half in this area?
Properties, I don't know about businesses for sale so much, like a full business, but the facility itself, the land or the building, yeah. We could advertise a business for sale on this as well. It would just, the write-up for it, the cut sheet would have to, say what the sale includes, right? Which would be a business. Yeah. And in Southwest Nova, one of the things that we all know is that with our demographics down here, we're looking at a lot of people retiring in the coming 5 to 10 years. And what's going to become of their businesses? Are they going to just lock up and walk out, or are they going to be able to sell their businesses so that they can continue and we can attract other people to the region buying said businesses which are already established? So yeah. So as much as possible, if you would just take a look through it when you can get it working. And please let us know any errors, anything you think that's missing. We're happy to hear about it.
Go ahead, Councillor Durkee.
Erica, thank you so much for coming and presenting this. I attended your annual meeting last year where you were discussing it, and it's really exciting to see this come together and be available to everyone. So thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Allen?
Yes, I'd like to say thank you for coming in. I guess a couple questions. So, are you getting into the real estate business?
No.
Like, or are you getting your information from real estate businesses? Like, if someone has a commercial property and they do want to sell it, like, is that something they get in touch with you about, or do you wait to see it come? I'm just wondering, like, how do you get your properties?
That's a good question. So at this time, we have a person in-house who's doing data entry. So right now it is steering by Armstrong, so to speak. We are not in the business of real estate. If the thing was loading properly, I would be showing you how you can click on a property and it'll pull up like a cut sheet of it. And then when you go to the contact, it's the realtor holds that listing, right?
So you work close with the realtor.
Well, we are trying to get to working close with the realtors. At this point, we have their permission to post them, but we haven't got any of them. For example, we can set a realtor up with an account so they can enter their own data. They could go on there and put their own property listings on there.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to teach anybody how to use it. Once you get trained, it's really quite simple. So we are hoping to have all the realtors set up with their own accounts so that they could do their own data entry. It is just in terms of quality control, quality assurance. Somebody who's making a contribution to any part of this submits their request, and it would come to me, and then I have to approve it. So just to make sure that it's valid, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But yes, we will be working closely with the realtors. We actually let them all know about these presentations we were doing around as well, just in case they wanted to pick up on any of the information, and I'm offering to give them presentations as well on it. There seems to be quite a bit of uptake from them in that they find it very interesting, but they're not necessarily sure how to engage. And the other thing is that a lot of realtors around here, I don't think there's a single realtor around here who specializes in industrial and commercial property.
No, I don't believe there is.
No, I think that they're all generalists, right?
Yeah.
So,
Find
yeah.
an individual, for instance, I know one real estate company who has an individual salesperson who deals with commercial.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so we're hoping to establish those. And then also, just so you know, in terms of the sustainability of this down the road, the province, we're working with the province to develop, I guess, like a widget behind the scenes that would automatically scour through MLS and pick up any commercial or industrial listings and pop them on here.
Councillor Cunningham, you
Yeah, I noticed that incomes over $150,000 or household incomes over $150,000 are up like 170%. That's on your website?
I'm sorry, which page are you looking at here? This is not the database then, right? You're talking
No,
about...
it's not the database. No,
Okay.
it's the knowledge suite.
Okay.
And it says the highest increases were in households making $150,000.
gotta be
And
locked.
it says it's up 178%. Why is that?
I couldn't speak to the why of that, but I can certainly ask Evan. He's our research staff, and I could ask him about the why behind that. You bet.
Perfect, thanks.
I'll make a note of that.
It's good.
I do believe there was also a parallel stat about the number of households in the lowest income brackets as well, was it not?
There was, and that's decreased by
Yeah.
50%, but that's a very, very low threshold.
It is very low, yeah. Okay.
Councillor Durkee?
Erica, sorry, I noticed you have a login up there. Do you need to be logged in order for that or do you have to register for this to get regular updated information?
No, you don't have to be logged in to use it. You have to log in to contribute to it.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
So no, this is just the front door.
Thanks.
Okay, I have a couple of quick questions,
Yes.
and Ken might be able to help me out on this. On this database that you know, for the industrial land, et cetera, and so on, we were partners to do a climate data survey.
Yep.
Is that also included in this?
At this time, it is not. Mark has been bringing it up, though, because Mark Uridio, of course, has been
Yes.
involved in this, and he has an account and has been trained in putting the information in. The challenge with the climate data is to put something on a map, it has to either have a point or a really
Okay.
clearly defined boundary.
Okay.
So the only way we would be able to display the data on the map would be to make a point that says there's a weather station here and link it to the data that's available. But there's not really any way to display those data. I mean, there's ways to display it, but not necessarily on a map in a way that's going to make sense.
Yeah.
Now, if those images that come out of those climate studies, they could feasibly be created as an overlay image on top of this, right?
Okay.
So the way it works with the base maps, with what you see behind, is if GeoNova can have it, we can have it. All of our base maps come straight from GeoNova. So if if we can get the province to map it out and make it public access, then we just, I don't know, the guys behind the scenes make
yeah.
click a button and
Yeah.
it happens.
Well, I think it'd be an important asset to have, because I know right now through the agricultural industry and so on, in the valley is just loving everything that's happening up there, especially in the wine industry, especially in the poultry industry and so on. It's going great guns. I talked with one MLA the other day, and he said, "Man, I'm happy as all get out." He said, "There's 11 wineries
Nice.
where
Yep.
in my district." And I think, 11 wineries, baby, that's really great, and so on. But I think there's some potential down this way.
Yeah, I think
the
you're
other
right.
thing that it doesn't pertain to the database, but I and Ken have talked at length sometimes on this. You made comment to Nova Scotia Business Inc. At the start of your presentation and so on. I fully support Nova Scotia Business Inc. And I'm going to have kind of like a lead-in question. Does the RENS work very closely with Nova Scotia Business Inc.?
Yeah.
Okay, my next question is, does Nova Scotia Business Inc. work really well or cohesively with you folks?
Yeah.
They do?
Yeah, they're making a real effort. The Nova Scotia Business Inc. in their, I think it's just in this last fiscal year, it's actually one of their metrics now is to have a greater impact on the regions outside of the HRM. So they're thrilled
Thank you.
with having RENS to work with. And we work really well with NSBI. We actually, the regional business advisor in this region is co-located in our office. So
Okay.
yeah, we're quite connected with them.
Well, then I'm going to put this to you and so on. As I said, Ken and I have spoken sometimes at length and other times very shortly on it. So on, I would like to see Nova Scotia Business Inc. invited. I don't know which part, whether it's their whole board, their whole group, or whatever, invited to Southwest Nova. I don't know whether it's under the RENS
Yep.
for them to come down and to spend a couple of days and do a tour.
Yep.
To have nothing wrong with computers and computer screens and so on, but
doesn't beat-
sometimes visually seeing, I'm going to be honest with you, the Hebron Industrial Park, anything within Digby's industrial area, down in Argyle and so on. When you just mentioned they're working with us outside of HRM, thank you, because I feel that anything that approaches Nova Scotia through Business Inc., Halifax is the golden egg, eh? And, well, no, you won't fit anywhere else in Nova Scotia. That's my own personal feeling, and I feel the rest of rural Nova Scotia is being left behind because HRM is the golden egg.
I think that's a sentiment that's shared with a lot of people in rural Nova Scotia. And the hard fact of the matter is that Halifax often wins, almost always wins, because Halifax has the capacity, they have
Yes.
the resources, they have the services, they have the,
They have,
They
yeah,
have-
they have the population.
they have the everything, right? They have all of the things that are needed. So we can't compete with Halifax, but what we can do is learn what we have and what we do well and go after that great guns. And that's what we're trying to get to with this. So having a tool like this is one way that we're able to say, okay, Nova Scotia Business Inc., your job is to bring more investment, or part of your mandate is to bring more investment into Nova Scotia. We're giving you Western Nova Scotia to work with. Here it is.
Yeah.
All the stuff that is, so that they can answer those questions. Because as it is right now, again, Halifax has the capacity to answer the questions and all of the data and all the stuff they need. So what markets out there can we serve really well with what we have already? And we have a supply chain study that's going to be wrapped up in the next few weeks here. And it's looking at those opportunities where we could, like investment opportunities that we have already. Because investment readiness is about being able to respond to the call for investment inquiries. But our challenge is to make sure that we're going after the right things, right?
Yeah.
So we may not be investment ready in that we don't have three-phase power everywhere and we don't have high-speed internet everywhere, but there are some things that we are ready for.
Yes.
So let's go for those while we work on the infrastructure and such. But we're never going to be Halifax. We don't want to be Halifax. If
No,
we
that's
wanted to live
true.
in Halifax, I'd move to
Yeah,
Halifax.
yeah. No, that part's true.
Yeah.
It's just that rural, I mean, I've been away to enough conferences and so on, and rural Nova Scotia is hurting.
Yes.
And we don't hate Halifax.
No.
We don't hate CBRM and so on. That's great that they're there, but we'd like to see some help outside. Well, as you stated, internet.
Yeah.
Well, we're working very diligently at that.
Yeah.
And so on. And that was a question we asked our MP when he was here. And not that we're on the back burner, but we're on the back burner. We're not Ontario. We're not Northern Ontario. We're not Northern Quebec.
Yeah.
We're Southwest Nova Scotia. We're way down here, and you're way down there.
Yeah.
So we're really on the back burner. So we have to fight very hard to even get some of the infrastructure that we need in order to become a better and a more prosperous rural Nova Scotia.
Yes,
It's
yes,
difficult, but-
exactly. And given the shifting economies and,
Yes.
the whole concept of post-industrial economies and all of that, rural, traditionally driven economies, we've got a lot of work to do.
Yes.
We've got a lot of work to do
Yes, we do.
to catch up to the way that the work is being done now. So,
Yes.
but we're doing the work, right?
Okay.
So,
Ken, do you have any questions or anything at this time?
oh, come on, Ken.
Yeah, it was.
It went much longer than I meant to,
Yeah.
and I'm
Was there any
sorry about
further
that.
questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Erica. We appreciate it. Yes. Okay, thank you. Item number 8, new business. Item 8.1, upcoming events. Is there anything that anybody wishes to? Go ahead, Deputy Warden.
God, I have a bunch here that's only happening within a week or two, so I'll start off here. Saturday, November the 25th, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., Forest Glen Community Center is going to be holding their Christmas tea. So that's a yearly event that I attend every year, and actually I do like tea as much as I like coffee, so
And this is Forest Glen?
yes it is. in
And what was
Forest
the
Glen.
times?
Saturday, November the 25th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. I have to work till noon hour on Saturday, but I'm going to run right out as soon as I'm done and
Okay. Oh, go
show
ahead.
up. On November the 29th at 6:15, the Carlton Christmas tree lighting ceremony is going to be taking place. That's on a Wednesday. On Saturday, December the 2nd, from 1 to 3 p.m., The Carlton Sparks and Brownies will be holding their Christmas tea at the Carlton Fire Hall. And Sunday, December the 3rd, 2 p.m., the Carlton area will be holding our annual Christmas parade, which was going to be happening from, as all other years, it's been going on for years and years. It's going to be starting at the Sleepy Paws boarding kennel, going down the 203, going around the Carlton Triangle, up the 340, and into the Carlton Fire Hall.
And what time was that?
That one is at 2 p.m., Saturday, December the 3rd.
And refreshments too, right?
Yes, I do believe so. I don't, there's refreshments, maybe that I'll have to bring. We'll see.
No, I think we'd sit at the fire hall.
Yeah, most generally they do. They
Yeah.
usually have hot chocolate and cookies there, so. And I will be participating in the parade again this year. This year I'm not going to be walking. I believe I'll be doing a float this year, so.
Okay.
I hope if you all get a chance to come out, please come out. And it is that time of year that a lot of things are going on in the community, and I urge every one of your councillors to head out to events in your own community. Also, the Christmas tree lighting out in town and the Christmas parade out in town.
Yeah.
That's
You're-
going to be happening.
You're going to be able to be there for the Christmas tree lighting on November 29th? I
Yes,
take it?
I'm going to be there on the 29th for the Christmas tree lighting. I will not be there for the Christmas parade, unfortunately. I'll be in the woods.
Okay.
But that's some of the events that's going on right up
Okay.
until the 3rd of December.
Okay. Councillor Cushion.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. The big event that's coming up in my district would be on the Monday, November 27th, which is dumping day. And for all you early risers, you can certainly come down to the Yarmouth Lighthouse, where Friends of the Light are been organizing or have been organizing a great event for that morning. So I'm sure they'll use a little bit. They could use a little bit more volunteers to come there for 5 o'clock. This would be my first year to go there. In past years, I've been busy on the wharf helping my brother-in-law load pots and whatnot. But with my injury to my shoulder, I'm not there. So maybe I can go down and pass out some muffins or some donuts and make myself look good if I can, and just be around there. So I invite everybody down. I know Friends of Light have been doing a lot of work. I've been getting the emails and stuff that they've been preparing and whatnot, and I understand CJ will also be there. The blessing of the fleet will happen. Pardon me?
Yeah, you'd be a, yeah.
Yeah, so, no, I'll just be there. So anyway, you're all welcome to come to that. That's the big event that's coming up that I encourage everybody to join if they can. Thank you.
I think it's Councillor Durkee.
Thank you. On December the 2nd in the Port Maitland area, there will be open houses of the businesses that are open at that time. So Bill Curry is having an open house in his studio. Hubert and Bells are having an open house in the Art and Decor location. Richmond Highland Farms also will be having an open house. As will Edna's and Rick's Antiques. So essentially everybody's going to be serving up some sort of treat, and we encourage people to come out to the Port Maitland area, and it's only 15 minutes from town. So we hope to see everybody out there.
The Tuscan thing. Yep. Yeah. Okay, the Highland Farm, they're going to have hamburgers, like they're going to have barbecued hamburgers, or?
They'll probably giving out samples of something. I'm not sure what at this point. Samples.
Councillor Cunningham.
Yes, just like to remind folks that Khmer Christmas is going to be taking place Saturday, November 24th, the Yarmouth County Museum, 7 to 9, $10 per person. And you can call the museum at 902-742-5539 to reserve tickets, or you can get them at the door.
Okay. Thank you. Deputy Warden.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. This is not an event happening in my community, but however, Councillor LeBlanc had to leave because he was feeling not so well, but I do believe that this should be mentioned. Tomorrow night, he's going to be holding a community District 3 get-together in the South Ohio Community Hall at 7 p.m. tomorrow. That's going to be happening during the same time the Best of Yaz is going on. And I did say that I was heading out to the Best of Yaz Awards for a few minutes, and that's where I'll be heading. Hopefully he'll be feeling okay by then, but if he's not, I'll certainly take over and listen to the people's concerns out there for him, because I did plan and told him that I would be heading out to that. So that is tomorrow night at the South Ohio Community Center at 7 p.m.
I only have one other question. I know that Councillor Cushion invited everybody over there for dumping day and so on. I guess my question was going to be directed to Councillor Allen. You be able to make that, will you? Can you kind of... Go ahead.
Weather permitting, I will. Anything over 25 knots, I'll be at the lighthouse.
We'll be able,
Yeah.
too many people there.
We'll throw you a rope.
Oh, I'll be able to walk at that point.
Okay, thank you very much. So on. 8.2 is the October development report. You had that in your package and so on. What is the wishes of council? Sorry. Go ahead, Councillor Durkee.
Oh, okay. I'd like to make a motion to accept the October development report as presented.
Been moved by Councillor Durkee, seconded by Councillor Allen. Is there any further discussion or on that? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded, motion carried. Thank you very much. 8.3, policies for possible approval. The hospitality policy H. I guess I'll hand it over to you, Councillor. Go ahead.
Me. Okay, thank you. The municipality of Yarmouth recognizes that hospitality-related activities are at times necessary and legitimate expenses, supporting the effective conduct of government business, and for reasons of diplomacy, protocol, recognition, business development, or promotional advocacy, the offering of hospitality will be done in such a manner so as to reflect the prudent stewardship of public funds, and therefore I'm looking for a motion to accept the hospitality policy H068-17. Is that one right?
I don't know. Go ahead, Councillor Cunningham.
Right, and as part of the policy development, this is something that's taking place across the province. Lots of municipalities are engaging councils and staffs to develop policies so that there's a fair and transparent way of spending public money. So, and certainly this policy's been developed in that spirit. So, having said that, I'll move that we adopt a hospitality policy H-068-17.
Okay, we have a mover. Do we have a seconder? It's been moved by Councillor Cunningham, seconded by Councillor Allen. Was there any further discussion on that motion? Question being called. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Thank you. 8.3.2. Go ahead, Councillor.
First of all, I just want to let everybody know that we've been meeting, our bylaw meetings once a month have been discussing the new transparency policies that are expected by the province. So this one is travel and expense policy T-088-17, and it's the policy of the municipality of the District of Yarmouth to reimburse employees and elected officials who are required to travel on municipal business. The rates for reimbursement are set out in Appendix A and may be adjusted from time to time as considered necessary. I won't go through all of that, but we have discussed this in our meetings, and so I'd like to ask for a motion for the travel and expense policy, please.
Councillor Cunningham.
Yeah, for the same reasons, I'll make a motion that we adopt travel and expense policy T-088-17.
I second that.
Been moved by Councillor Trevor Cunningham, seconded by Deputy Warden John Cunningham. Was there any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Thank you. 8.4, bylaw first reading. Is it tax reduction bylaw? Go ahead, Councillor.
Indeed it is. Tax reduction bylaw T-083-01. The purpose of this bylaw is to provide a reduction of taxes to nonprofit, community, charitable, fraternal, educational, recreational, religious, cultural, or sporting organization if, in the opinion of council, the organization provides a service that might otherwise be responsibility of the council as allowed under section 71(1) of the Municipal Government Act. And at this time, we are looking to add, I need a motion to approve the addition of the Valley and District property, Fire Department's property that they recently purchased. We need to have that added to Schedule A.
Okay. Councillor Cunningham?
Yes, I'll move that that we add that organization to the tax reduction bylaw T-08301, and all those organizations included in that list do fantastic work for the municipality district of Yarmouth, and I'm only too glad to make the motion.
Okay, thank you. We have a mover. Do we have a seconder? Been moved by Councillor Trevor Cunningham, seconded by Councillor Daniel Allen. Any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor then signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, Councillor. Appreciate it. There was, at our bylaw meeting on Monday, there was a presentation made. I don't know, did you wish to speak on that, unpack at all? In Towan? Go ahead.
We had a wonderful presentation about the PACE program, which has to do with upgrades to, for example, for homes, for energy, reduce energy, and there'll be a lot more information coming about that as we look and study the PACE program if we're considering adopting it.
Yeah.
So it basically is something that helps homeowners. We provide funding to help them with that, but they have to pay the money back to look at adding, changing windows, adding insulation, particularly in their
pumps.
Basement drafts,
Heat
anything.
pumps and so on, yeah.
Yeah, so that's, we'll be looking at that at future bylaw
Okay.
meetings.
Thank you very much.
Oh, and I'd
Oh.
like to add one more thing, that we had a good discussion about a possible cat bylaw, and we're still considering something, but it may not be a bylaw, it may have to be a policy at this time because it's very difficult to police.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. 8.5, Yarmouth Curling Club request for financial assistance. You have a letter, 8.5.1, a letter in your package. What is the wishes? Go ahead, Councillor.
So whereas the Yarmouth Curling Club provides a really good service for mainly residents of the municipality district of Yarmouth, also Yarmouth and the municipality of Argyle, we're going to partner with our other municipalities in the area to fund some emergency repairs. I think that's a good expenditure of dollars, and it's a relatively small amount for the return. So I'll make the motion that we provide that emergency funding to fix the ice plant there, and in the amount of $11,667 to be taken from our operating reserves.
Second.
Been moved by Councillor Cunningham, seconded by Councillor Patty Durkee. Was there any further discussion on that motion? Deputy Warden?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I don't know how to put this. I guess I come right out straight with it. We all see the request that we have in front of us. If you look down on the third page, I believe it's the third page, or it's the second page of 7. It says annual or project budget, and you're going to see there miscellaneous is $750 for the freight charges. $29,817.04 for the compressor, which we were told they need, And also $25,978.27 for the chiller.
Yes.
But what really bothers me is the install and labor charges for this piece of equipment. They have written here $28,000, $239.64. That's $28,239.64. I'm a tradesman. That, to me, is outrageously high. I don't know what kind of equipment that is. I'm really not sure that's installed, what's installed or what's involved in installing that, but that's a lot of labor.
Yeah.
I personally cannot support the motion until I see what $28,239.64 would be for install labor. That's a lot of money. I can understand the compressor. Yes, the compressor went, and yes, I can understand the chiller. But my God, $28,000 for labor?
If I may.
Yes, you may.
Further on in their, they break it down, and the labor, there's labor charges for the helper, the daily truck charges, the truck kilometer charges, labor charges for, I'll say, the head technician, the living expenses while they're here, because it takes a couple of days. It also includes the nitrogen, brass fittings, the special oil, which is almost $500, special tools and other supplies, health and safety compliance. It's just not labor. Wow. It includes a lot of other things, Deputy Warden. But I mean, you still have concerns, yes, but they did break it down on a couple of pages further on. Yeah, because I had concerns too when it first, the labor charges is almost as much as the compressor. And so on, but that they do break it out and so on. So I don't know if you.
But what's that?
Yeah.
At the bottom, labor and expenses, 16,000 on this part.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I personally find that ridiculously high. That's just me. And another issue that I have is we're also thinking about putting forward a lot of money for an organization, and I hate to say this, and I do believe they do a lot of things in the community, but for 110 members, this is a lot of money. And you got to think about it from the perspective of the people out in the district I represent. There's a lot of people that do not have access or cannot get access to the curling events because it's a half-hour drive away. Mm-hmm. And also, to my knowledge, and Councillor Cunningham did notify me that there is a program now that schools could access the facility a little bit easier, a little bit cheaper. But at this time, the Carleton School does not attend the curling club as a function. I really do feel for them, but for those two reasons that I just listed, I cannot support moving forward with this motion.
Okay. Go ahead, Councillor.
Just in a sense, I think we all need to be, as councillors, careful when we take the oath of office for the municipality district of Yarmouth. We are elected from members of our own district, but we represent all the people. So I think that of the municipality district of Yarmouth. So when we're talking about these types of issues, I'd like to have us all keep all of the citizens and residents of the municipality district of Yarmouth in mind. That includes all of us, including folks that have been elected to special positions, including the warden and the deputy.
Councillor Cushion.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Deputy Warden Cunningham, I appreciate your concerns and I understand where you're coming from. However, as Councillor Trevor Cunningham said, we are a municipal unit and we have to, yes, we do have to look after our contingents in our own areas, but in the municipality of a whole, we have to try to help out where we can, because one day down the road, perhaps there's another organization that's out in the Carleton area, in your district, that perhaps needs some funding of some type, and the residents from, I'll say my District 6, do not attend that or do not participate in that, but I'll be the first one to stand up and support such a program to help, because we're here to help the whole municipality as a whole. In saying that, however, I do appreciate what you're saying, but I have a different philosophy myself in looking after the municipality as a whole. So, thank you.
Is there any further questions? Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you. I just want to say that I attended a meeting put on by the UNSM with regards to asset management, and I know the province is moving toward this, and the idea is that we need to maintain the assets that we have and make sure they are in good order, because if we don't do that, then they'll just get worse and cost more money later on. So under the circumstances, if we pay a little bit now, I think it'll make a big difference to the curling club, and hopefully will not cost more later on. And so I would actually be in favor of this.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion, concern? At this time? Question being called. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. You wish to have your nay recorded, Deputy Warden?
Yes, always, Mr. Chair.
Please. Thank you. I would like to see, if I may, the motion has passed, which was fine, that possibly maybe the CAOs of the 3 municipal units, and if possibly either the deputy wardens or the wardens and mayor could maybe sit down and have a discussion with. Okay, that is a suggestion. Okay, so maybe in the near future, and we'll have a meeting, the CAOs with the curling club, and try to get a real good handle and so on. It's on those issues. Here we go. 8.6, the Climate Data Study Project update. You had that in your package, councillors. I have it here. There was a letter that you had from, let me find it again. Oh, man. Okay, you had it in your package from Mark Blinn, sent there on November 2nd. I received a call from the Minister's office today regarding our request for more detailed information around the department's proponent interest to continue the climate data study. I was informed that the reason for the vagueness in the Minister's response to our initial inquiry was due to the fact that they, the provincial body, are still in negotiations with the federal government for the amount and allocations of the Federal Canadian Agricultural Partnership funds. The Canadian Agricultural Partnership rolls out in April, so it is hoped that they will be able to provide us with an answer to our GDS question by March. I have heard from 2 individuals in the department that it looks good for the climate data study, and there is still talk of expanding it, but nothing is concrete yet. It is believed that the amount of the funding will be the same, but the allocations will differ from last year. Here is hoping that some of the difference in the allocations will be comprised of allocating more dollars to continue and expand the climate data study. Is any comments or concerns or anything at this time? Councillor? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Councillor.
There we go.
Yeah, there
Thanks.
you go.
Yeah, I think generally that's a very positive, development, and we'll wait on the good news. But I'm hoping that will actually turn into good news. I'd just like to also comment on Mr. Mark Blinn. He's our economic development a person, and I guess formally he's a manager innovation enterprise development. And we hired Mr. Blinn, quite some time ago, and it's working out fairly well in my mind. We've got a point person on the economic development files, including rural internet. A lot of this work eats a lot of staff time, and without the staff, you can't get things accomplished. So the internet service that folks out in Carleton will soon be enjoying, I think definitely is that has a lot to do with Mark's ability to push that file for us, for the residents of the municipality district of Yarmouth. And here's another example of where, we've got a staffer that we've hired, as the council provided the budget to hire, and that's yielding benefits and dividends for residents. So like to share that around the council table, and I'm sure everybody agrees with that. So thank you.
Yep. Do you have any comments?
Yeah.
Really? Okay. Is there any other comments from council? Just to let you know, I don't know if you've been talking with Mark, but they're looking at doing a symposium here at the municipal building next spring on agriculture, like around the grape, blueberry, etc., and so on, that industry and so on. He's been working on that over the last few months with his colleagues down shore and so on. So this climate data study is important to this area. It hasn't done anything, hasn't done a whole lot for it at this moment, but it can in the near future. Go ahead, Councillor.
I attended a meeting with Mark, with representatives from the provincial and federal agricultural societies and the EDOs in other areas to discuss working on this one-day symposium in Yarmouth. We have never had it down here. In all likelihood, it will be at the Grand area because there are a number of different workshops that are going to be going on. When you're looking at the agenda, it's actually very exciting, and the comments from the provincial and federal representatives were very positive about what's going on down here. So yes, the climate data study is making a difference, and so we definitely need to have that continued.
Yeah, thank you. 8.7, Yarmouth Argyle District Planning Commission. 7.1, recommended dissolution subject to satisfactory arrangements made for go-forward plans for service. I'm not... Who has that, or... Go ahead.
Well, I guess I can start to talk with it, and Ken can fill me in on... First of all, I was appointed the chairperson of this district planning committee last year, and the first thing that was checked at us, or at me, was to find out what it was all about, number one, and number two, that we were looking to do something this coming spring because of Brad Fulton's decision to retire in November of 18. So it was discussed at length. But before I could understand the reasoning why we're going to disband, I wanted to know about how it all started, and I did find that out, and I understand why the need was there and where we are now. I do know that it'll be up to the two CAOs. Our CAO Ken will be talking to the CAO Alan from Argyle and discussing how we should move forward on staff. There is recognition of technician that's on the site now that works out of the municipality of Argyle, how important he is and what the knowledge that he has is very valuable. So that too will also be discussed. So right now, that's where we're leaving it at. And once the two CEOs have had a chance to come up with some thought and some idea, then it will certainly be presented to our council for what we like to do. Thank you.
Did you wish to comment on?
No, that's pretty good.
Okay. The second part, 8.7.2, future agreements. Deputy Warden Cunningham. Go ahead, Deputy Warden.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Before I move on to that, wasn't there supposed to be a motion made by our council to dissolve the District Planning Commission in that regards, if I'm not mistaken?
That would be premature at this point to cut the limb off before you know where it's going to fall.
Well, it says here, it says recommended dissolution to subject to satisfactory arrangements made for go-forward plan of services.
Yeah.
It was to bring it forward just to make the point that there are negotiations to be undertaken and that the intent is to dissolve the current structure, but only when we have an
plans.
appropriate
Yeah.
plan in place on a go-forward basis.
And that actually ties into 8.7.2, the future agreement. I think maybe we as a council should sit down and in the next committee, the whole meeting, make it actually an agenda item that we sit down and discuss out in public what we feel our future agreement may or may not look like, whether that be we go on our own, whether that means that we have to get some more information to see whether the municipalities do their planning services, whether we hire a company, whether we do it in-house, whether we sign another municipal agreement with another municipal unit. I don't know what that looks like, but maybe we should sit down and discuss this a little bit more in the committee of the whole and maybe come with a recommendation forward on that. And that's the reason why that I asked to have that put on there.
Okay. Councillor Cushion?
Yes, thank you again, Mr. Warden. I can understand what our Deputy Warden Cunningham is coming from, but as I had mentioned earlier, that the two CAOs will be meeting and discussing on what type of services we should be looking forward in the future. And once that is done, they'll be bring back to our council, to the individual councils, and then at that time we can discuss and go forward from there. That's my understanding.
Okay. You're fine with that?
I'm fine with that.
Okay. Yeah.
I just didn't
Yes,
want
yeah.
to be left in the
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. 8.8. Legal age for sale, possession, and use of cannabis. Councillor T. Cunningham. You have the floor, Councillor.
Well, there was a session at the UNSM, the Union of Nova Scotia Municipalities annual conference around the legalization of cannabis. And the legalization of cannabis federally takes place July 1st. And the province has been looking at passing legislation to govern it provincially, and that will sort of outline the rules that we'll have to follow, and there will be some work certainly to do at the municipal level, including budgeting for policing and so forth. We are responsible for funding RCMP activities in the area to a large extent, and so there's lots to talk about. Having said that, the item does speak to the legal age, so the legal age has not been set in Nova Scotia yet, but a lot of the medical folks are suggesting 25. It's unlikely it's going to be 25. Cannabis is a complicated drug, certainly, in that it can be administered a number of ways. It's not just via smoking. There are edibles. There are many different products that that certainly people can consume. So it is a complicated issue, and of course we have a lot of things to decide. It will likely be governed very much like alcohol. You probably won't be able to have it on a sidewalk, although I'm not certain of that. Probably be restricted to use in your house, although I'm not entirely sure of that either. Maybe able to be consumed in restaurants, not sure what the legislation will look like. So I think we've got some things certainly to talk about. And again, we're waiting on the province to an extent, but I'd suggest that maybe we form a committee to look at the issue and begin preparation around how it is we're going to respond to the legalization, because it will come, and we're one level of government. We're going to hear lots about it. We're close to the ground, and I think maybe that committee more to assemble the facts and make a list of things that we'll have to do moving forward, because certainly the legislation is going to be passed, and we'll need to deal with the issue appropriately as a council.
Ooh, I see them all lit up here. Go ahead, Councillor Cushing.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Trevor, a very good point that you had brought up. But just to update you folks around the table here, Councillor LeBlanc and I are on the municipal alcohol project, I believe it is, program.
MAP program.
Because Deputy Warden, he stepped down from it because of his business. I started on with it on last winter when I got involved with it, and we started going through the process of the alcohol and tobacco part of it. And I had suggested at that time that we bring in what should we do about cannabis? Like it or not, July 1st of 2018, and here it is. So we have, something that we have to work on pretty fast. So through some regular scheduled meetings that we've been going through, we have developed a draft document which I have passed on to our Darlene, our policy and bylaw person, for her review, and her and Larry Phillips and Gary, his last name eludes me right now, right? But we've been working pretty hard on that, and we've got a draft in place that'll cover a lot of issues that will relate to our municipality. And from my understanding, from Larry and Gary, that we are much further ahead than other municipalities in Nova Scotia to date. So I thought that was pretty positive on our part. So be prepared in the future that we will be discussing some issues, and a lot of them is how far a distance are you going to be allowed to use cannabis from a building and such. We're trying to tie all three of them together to make it much more palatable for the municipality to adopt some of these policies and bylaws. So that's where we are right now. So we are moving on that. Thank you.
Councillor Durkee.
Thank you, Warden. I'd like to add that when our MP, Colin Fraser, was here, we asked the question about the costs of policing, because we know that is definitely going to go up, as we've heard from UNSM that the training in particular for policemen to be able to use equipment to test for what's the word I'm looking for, when someone's driving, how yes, thank you, I needed that, intoxicated they would be. So the good news was that Colin mentioned there is going to be more funding available that's handed down through the levels to the municipalities to be able to fund policing for this purpose. And so I was really pleased to hear that. What they're hoping for is that in other areas, because it's legal, then chasing people down to find them smoking illegally might reduce the costs of policing. So let's hope that it has some positive effect.
Go ahead, Councillor.
Right, and that was part of our discussion. I'm not certain we've been able to, we've got any handle on any quantification of the cost of, the additional cost of completion, of policing. Most people I speak with indicate there will be an increased policing cost. I think that's a little overly optimistic that we'd have a decrease in cost associated with the legalization of cannabis. Having said that, there has been some discussion federally about providing some funds through the sale, through the revenue stream that's generated. There's offsetting costs, obviously, through the sale of cannabis, marketing of cannabis. Having said that, I think that I'm going to make a motion that we send our MP, Colin Fraser, a letter asking for consideration from the municipal side that we be, you know, there be an ongoing negotiation essentially where we can recoup full cost for any additional cost borne out of the legalization of cannabis.
Okay, you have a motion. Do we have a seconder for that? Been moved by Councillor Trevor Cunningham, seconded by Councillor Lauren Cushion. Was there further discussion on that motion? Was there any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded, motion carried. Thank you. Can I, oh, sorry, go ahead, Deputy Warden.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I appreciate that. I have a lot of questions about cannabis. I got a question for each and every one of you. What's the age that you're going to be that you can smoke it in the province of Nova Scotia?
Right now, if I may, the summit that I was at today, there was discussion on that. As it stands right now, the province of Nova Scotia is 18. The province of New Brunswick is 19.
Okay.
And so that,
but like you said, discussion. We don't know that. Number two.
Yeah.
Who's going to sell it? Where's it going to be sold? Number three. Where can you smoke it? Is it going to be out in public? Is it going to be in home only? Can it be in your car? Your passenger in your car?
That question was brought up, believe it or not now, eh? You can't carry a bottle of beer open in your car, but you can carry 30 grams of cannabis. You can be driving a car and not under the influence of cannabis, but your passengers are smoking it, so you are under the influence of cannabis.
My point exactly. Nobody knows what the province of Nova Scotia is doing, and I think it's a little premature for us to be forming committees or going forward with any bylaw changes, bylaws, policies, municipal planning strategy, whether that's going to be changed, if there's going to be areas in the municipality district of Yarmouth that we don't want it to be, like a dry area for alcohol. We don't know any of that because the province doesn't know what the heck they're doing. So I think it's a little bit premature to be moving forward on something that may change at this time. And I agree, it's coming and it's coming fast, but what I'm afraid of is the final product. What's coming from the province, because basically what's happened is the federal government is legalized this stuff on a finite date, and then they just handed it off the province. Say, here, you guys figure out what you're doing with it. Yeah, there's some provinces that are farther ahead, certainly a lot farther ahead than the province of Nova Scotia. Like Colin explained to us, like Ontario is much farther ahead than we are because they know how old you're going to be to smoke, where you can smoke it, where it can be bought, who can sell it, where it's grown. We don't even know that. We don't get me wrong. Me personally, I would rather not see it being legalized, but I feel that the federal government is saying, we're gonna legalize it, you guys deal with it. And the province of Nova Scotia is having trouble, because here we are still having consultations on what our possible legislation is gonna be. And we, as a municipality, don't even know what that's gonna look like, so. And don't get me wrong, I've read, after Councillor Patty Durkee said to me, maybe you should go to a few of those meetings. I don't personally have the time to go to those meetings, but trust me, I read as much as I can on this subject. And as we sit right now, there's just a lot of stuff up in the air for us to even think about what it could be. Because we could set a bylaw here in 3 or 4 months, and all of a sudden the province of Nova Scotia says, well, we're gonna leave it to the municipalities to do. And the time crunch is coming. We're all going to be in a mess, but I don't believe in making a bylaw or policy or changing anything until we actually know what the province is going to do. And I'm sorry, that's the way I feel, but that's my rant for the night.
Councillor Cushion, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Deputy Warden Cunningham, I appreciate your views. I too do not agree that it should be legalized. However, we have no choice. July 1st, 2018 is going to be legalized. Number 2, I mentioned that we have a draft document where we are suggesting some policies and bylaws. As I mentioned, they are draft. I don't expect anything for us, our committee, to recommend to our council that we adopt as a bylaw or policy until we actually know what the province and the feds are going to do. But we do have a working document in place that we're trying to refine so that when the time does come, we don't have to waste a lot of time trying to develop something, reinvent the wheel, that we've already got a few spokes in the wheel that we can continue to develop in reference to what the province wants to do and of course what the feds want to do. So that's where we're going with this. I don't like to be able to try to catch up on things. I like to be able to be proactive and be ready for when something does come. We're already on the bandwagon to try to make it to for the betterment of our municipality. So that's where we are right now on it. Thank you.
Councillor Durkee?
It's my understanding that Canada was setting the age for purchase of cannabis at 18, but it's up to individual provinces as to what they do. And at the meeting I attended, the suggestion was 19 for Nova Scotia. Well, yes, and so commenting on the 25, the research shows that cannabis can still have an effect on your development up until the age of 25.
Yes. Yeah. Go ahead, Councillor Cunningham.
So I guess Councillor Cushing, thanks for your comment. That's sort of where I was going initially when I was saying we should start thinking about maybe staff and council can start thinking about a proactive way of educating ourselves, because while they've done other things in other provinces, New Brunswick, Ontario, we may want staff to collect some of the legislation that municipalities in those jurisdictions are passing to get a little flavor of what municipalities are doing. I certainly wasn't suggesting, maybe I was misunderstood, wasn't suggesting that we immediately start passing bylaws and policy and so forth without first having the province enact legislation that sort of we base those decisions on. So that wasn't my intent. My intent was to be proactive, to set some direction in terms of getting us up to speed on the file, because it's a very complex file. There's legislation federally, there's legislation provincially that will be coming, but other provinces have enacted some legislation, and there's legislation that's been passed in the U.S. Colorado's an example. I think we need to learn more about their experience. So the more we know, the better informed we'll be when it comes time to develop local legislation, municipal legislation around that. That's, I think, tremendously important for us to do. The other point is that in fact we will not have a long time to develop this, because while we don't have all the information from the province, we do have that July 1st date looming. So there'll be legalizations, my understanding, July 1st. So we'd better be ready to go. It's now the end of November. December is typically a month that, you know, not lots is accomplished, truthfully. We'd like to accomplish more in December, but their staff takes holidays, things happen in December. Folks are busy. So we're talking about the first of the year now. From January 1st to July 1st is not a long time to get our heads around this complicated issue. So I want to make sure that us as a council, we're prepared to do the best we can come July 1st.
Councillor Cushing?
Not to prolong this discussion any further than it has to, but the two gentlemen we have on our committee who are professionals in the field of addiction and whatnot, they have done some thorough research to come up with their draft document that they have now. So I think we're going to be in pretty good standing, so that when the time does come to bring it to council, we can have a darn good debate over it, and when the provincial guidelines come in and the federals come in, whatever the heck that's going to be, we'll be up and running pretty good. So we have done a lot of research. It's quite a document. Like I say, I passed on to Darlene, and she'll be reviewing it, and our CAO will certainly be taking a look at it too before we do. So anyway, again, I don't want to prolong it, but I think we're being proactive here to try to nip it in the bud before it nips us in the bud. So, thank
Deputy
you.
Warden?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to make one statement. We do know it's coming on a finite date, but I really dread that if the province at least is not ready with this, we're going to have legalization with no rules. And that's quite possible from what I see. I was actually talking to the MLA for Argyle-Barrington, Christy Entremont, about this, and it was kind of funny because he said, well, I really don't know what we're doing either. He says we have a committee working on that. So the province is really got to step up to the plate. If they want us to do something, we need it pretty quick. Yeah, we very well may be. Thank you for us, Mr. Chair. It's enough.
Hey, I just want to give you a real quick, as I stated earlier, that I was to a cannabis workshop today in Bridgewater, and it was put on by the Licensed Professional Planners Association of Nova Scotia, and Brad Fulton was there, and he asked a few questions, but he was also taking a lot of information and so on. But we had a lot of different presenters. One of the presenters was from Stewart McGilvery Law. Okay, and I won't go into their whole breakdown of their presentation, but they were working and presenting on the side of municipal units. One of the things he brought up, every one of us have home business in our bylaws or in our planning strategies and so on, home businesses. So, what are you going to do? You got to make rules and regulations for home business. Okay. The other one is recreational home production. Okay, they brought that up. They also suggested you go to the MGA Act 238, line 1, I think it was, and there's some information in there. We also had Chief David McNeil from the Truro Police Services, and but they're thinking, okay, public consumption, places of use. Okay, these are things that are going to fall back on municipal units. The province is not going to dictate where you can and can't. That's going to be up to HRM, like where you going to allow to smoke it in Cornwallis Park, or you can smoke it on the waterfront where everybody else is, and so on. That's going to be up to you. One of the other things was the odor, smell. We don't have to worry about condos here, but landlords, renters, growing of plants, or any industrial grow operations. We basically stated we won't have to worry about that in little rural Nova Scotia. There's only been one place so far that's been able to, or they've been given a permit. That's up in eastern Nova Scotia. They do have, I think, 24 other applications they're looking at. In buildings, can you grow it in buildings? Yes, and so on. Close to schools or health institutions, would you allow a grow op, a legal grow op of 400 plants beside a hospital, et cetera, et cetera. Some of the other things like concerns, cost and enforcement issues for both the province and your municipal units. The municipality, along with Argyle, has the rural RCMP. The cost of the machines to do it is anywhere between $4,000 and $6,000. That's the cheap part. Okay, to do the test is between $30 and $40 for each swab. And what they're looking at now is when they stop you, you can be as sober as all get out. But if he feels he can, you can't, it's like doing an alcohol. I think, sir, we're going to do a test on you for marijuana. There's a $40 cost, just like that. And how many of those are they going to do? There's a lot, as the Deputy Warden was stating, there's a lot of issues, and July 1st, as Councillor Cunningham said, comes real quick, and so on. And there is a lot of work. Is it all going to be in place in July 1st? Not on your bottom dollar. There is, you have no idea. And that's just on one part. There's the law. There is a lot of issues. And I've been to a couple of them. This was the best, but it was basically all presentation, a few answers or a few questions, and then it was over. It was just presentations more than anything else. But other than that, Deputy Warden, then we're going to move on.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to make this a statement and be made for public record. I'd like the recording secretary to also copy this down. If it comes out that the province of Nova Scotia will be using some of their retail, their publicly owned business like
Nova
the
Scotia.
NSLC,
Yeah.
and since I do own a business that does sell alcohol, I must put on record now that I will not be involved in any land use development or bylaws or policies in that regard, because I very well could be in conflict. But like I said, we have no idea where it's going to be sold.
Yeah.
So I just would like the recording secretary to please put that on record.
Yeah. And for those of you that like to do a lot of reading, here's 2 pages of internet sites that I brought back that I'll be handing off to Liz, that she can post on your website and so on. And it's all across every province. It's everything from the driving and cannabis to the laws, the statutes of the laws, everything else is all on both pages, so both sides. So I'm gonna give that to Liz later, and she'll post that for you. Those of you who want to do a lot of reading on that. Yep. Okay, 8.9, bicycle loan program. Councillor T. Cunningham, we have that in your package also. What is your wishes, Councillor?
Just wanted to make council aware this is something that came up at UNSM, bicycle loan program, one of the sessions I attended, and maybe something that we want to send to our joint recreation committee. That there is some of that happening in Yarmouth. There are several groups out there that are repairing bikes for loan, but we may want to get into that a little bit heavier we've got the trail running through the municipality, so perhaps I can send that to joint recreation. We can have a bigger discussion there, but just want to make folks aware of it. Also, UNSM, just interestingly, is going to change its name. It's not been formalized yet, but it will be called, I believe, the Federation of Nova Scotia Municipalities, and that will be very compatible with the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. So there's that compatibility, and also it will assist in dispelling the notion that it's some sort of a union, and currently there's some confusion about organized labor union, but it's not that. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Okay, if I may, Councillor, the loan program, is that where municipal units have bikes and they loan them? Is that what you're saying, or?
Yes.
Okay,
We don't get that, but
no,
we do have a system whereby they repair bikes and
Yeah.
and loan them out.
well, that is done now. We have Bike Again Yarmouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so on. And I've always been one of, during the spring and fall cleanup, there's a lot of bicycles that end up out at the side of the road that get picked up and are hauled out to our transfer station and then are crushed and so on. It'd be kind of nice if some of, but we have a policy out there that once it's in on the property, it stays on the property. So it would be nice if they could access some of those, because I see they're looking for a lot of adult bikes. You can get a lot of, yeah, and so on. So anyway, thanks for that. 8.10, campaign to protect offshore Nova Scotia. That was in your package. It was a request that I'd put in. It had been sent to me originally. And I don't know if you folks have had an opportunity to read it and so on. But at this time, I'm just going to ask that it is forwarded to our next meeting to have comments on. We don't need to get into it this evening and so on, if that's all right with council. Okay, thank you. 8.11, request to participate in Shine a Light campaign. You also had that in your package, and I believe that was for purple. Would I be right? I have to apologize, I think. And please consider shining on women's abuse campaign, and it's we received that on November 2nd, but we didn't have a committee of the whole meeting in November, so we didn't deal with it then. And it is basically, I think this campaign will lead into Juniper House annual Purple Ribbon campaign, November 25th to December 10th. I don't know if it's the wishes of council to have staff see if they can go out and purchase some purple Christmas tree lights or whatever, if that would be available, and put on our tree, one of our trees out there, or if council wishes to participate at all. So it's on the floor for discussion. Go ahead, councillor.
Yeah, I mean, it's my suggestion. It's certainly a very worthwhile cause, and I'd recommend that we participate. It's being held from November 25th to December 10th. So I think it's important to recognize that it's a serious problem, and if we can do our small part, then I think we should.
Okay. Any other discussion on it? You agree? What do you wish to? They're asking that you shine either like purple lights. If you read the. Go ahead, Councillor.
So I'd recommend. I think that it's our governance duty to say that the municipality will participate. I'd ask through the warden that staff prepare certainly prepared to honor the ask in an appropriate way, and we're on our way. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Good enough. Well, yes, yeah, on the building, or like I say, do one of the trees out there in purple. Okay, thank you very much. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Again, I'm not going to go too long on this, but the purple campaign, perhaps in our municipal office here, in the foyer where the staff do a great job in decorating and whatnot, we could have a purple wreath made up or something and hang on to for display, or just to show our support.
Yeah. Okay.
Just a suggestion.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Yes. Yep. Look after it. Thank you. 8.12, signage. Councillor T. Cunningham. Go ahead, Councillor.
Right, I've had a couple requests for signage. One we I think partly addressed a while ago in terms of our municipal recreation park in Hebron. That's frequented by visitors from out of town, and certainly all folks from all of the districts really make heavy use of that. The suggestion was, and it's a good one, certainly that we get signage that's bigger and a little bit more prevalent, and it's on the 340 and it's on Route 1. There was also a request from the Baptist Church in Hebron to have signage certainly on Route 1, just indicating that there's a community playground there, because we've invested in that community playground. It's a wonderful thing. It's great, and folks from all around the municipality do access that playground from outside the municipality. So just, you know, folks that are driving by, and I've done that myself when my children were younger, that, you know, they want to stop and play at a playground for a little bit. So it's a wonderful upgraded playground. So those two signage issues, I did have a conversation with Department of Transportation Infrastructure Renewal folks this evening, and what they told me was we can post signs by those secondary roads, not on the 100 series highway, but municipalities can post signs, provided that they get residents' approval adjacent to the sign, because that can cause some problems, because they say, well, it's unsightly or it's blocking my view or that type of thing. So what I'd like to through the warden is to ask staff to investigate, you know, the possibility of putting some additional signage up for those two things, and they're both important piece of infrastructure in our communities, and perhaps they could come back with some ideas around that very thing.
Councillor Christian?
Again, I won't take much time, but it was a great idea, Councillor Cunningham. I would suggest, and I'm very pleased with the signage that the town of Yarmouth has to identify their recreation facilities, their libraries, I think the Arc, but in the shopping areas, and I think their walking trails, and I think those signs are really, really nice, and I think they would certainly benefit us out our way in the municipality also, and it would also like tie everything together. If they had this, if we copy the type of signs they have to relate to some of our areas, I think it would go a long ways. Thank you.
Councillor Durkee?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to, in addition to what Lauren is saying, I think the wayfinding program that the town has done has been very beneficial, and I would like to recommend as well that we look into more wayfinding signage for our municipality. I have been in touch and worked with TIR in terms of the 101 series highways and getting some signs going, and there's a lot of them are symbol signs, and unfortunately people just sometimes just can't figure those out. I also know that there's been an issue with people trying to find the lighthouse, and I know that's on the symbol, there's a blue symbol on the way out, but if we could do something in addition with words similar to what they've done in Prince Edward Island, there are signs everywhere showing how to get to certain places. I think it would be very beneficial.
Okay, thank you. I believe that that Mark Blinn has been working on a sign for the Hebron Industrial Park and so on. He's just trying to get it all worked together with what companies are there and so on at this time. Anyway, thank you very much. 8:13, email from UNSM CAP program. Letters from UNSM. I have to apologize. I have not read or done anything, so somebody else has to take the lead on this. Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor.
I had it open. In any event, I reviewed the email, and it's from the UNSM, and it's just a list of things that if residents ask about the CAP program, it lists 10 or 12 things that information that either councillors or staff could give residents, sort of indicating the viewpoint of the UNSM and the reasons why they believe generally that the CAP should be revisited. So that's the information. So I guess long story short is it's for information purposes only.
Okay, that's 8:13. 8:14, professional development opportunities. Whose was that?
That was just sent in, just want to bring it to council's attention. If they want to attend, they should attend.
What do you mean? I don't. Is there a,
Is it with them?
yeah,
No, we'll send them in.
okay. Okay,
It's an upcoming event that councilors may wish to attend.
okay,
Some information on it.
okay. Okay, so that'll be some information coming forthwith on that. Okay. Then we're moving into item number 9, reports, committee reports. You have that there in front of you. Was there any reports that any councillor on any of the committees that they wish to give? Nothing. I take it there's none? Was there, okay, then we're down to item number 10, in-camera meeting recommendations. Was there? Huh? Airport, yes, okay. Yes. Go ahead, councillor. I don't know who I bumped here. Go ahead.
Okay, so yes, in terms of the in-camera meeting, we were discussing the airport committee. And at this point, I'd like to make a motion to, how do I want to put this? Change out the alternate for the airport committee from Trevor Cunningham to Mr. Cunningham.
The deputy warden Cunningham.
Just Mr. Cunningham.
Oh, I think, yeah. Been moved by Councillor Durkee, been seconded by Councillor Allen. Was there any further discussion on that motion? Question being called. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Thank you very much. I guess I would ask for...
Make a motion to adjourn.
At this time, I believe, no, I'd ask for a recess, a motion for a recess. We have to go back in camera. You got to do up that one last item. It only take you a few minutes and so on. But then that way we can go right, come out of camera and go back into our council meeting. And if there's a motion to be made. Thank you, councillors.